We just played Sea of Legends, a game about seas and obviously legends, but really this is a pirate game and this is one of my personal favorite games. So this is how it looks like after a very, very intense about 2 hours of gaming. Basically what happens is that every single player has a captain and you have your ship, this little peanut, cutie, and you have your crew, right? And of course you have relics and items and whatnot. And what you do is you sail the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, San Juan, and so on, and you try to get 10 notoriety. There are other game variants, but this is one of them, right? The game has two things which absolutely blow my mind. Is one is that you have an actual lover. So you choose a lover at the beginning of the game, you deal three, and you choose one of them, and then you have to choose a nemesis, right? So this is already an interesting concept. What happened is that these nemesises and these lovers are represented by these tokens and they are on islands, right? And also there's like, so for example, this is your lover token, uh, this is your captain token, and this is your nemesis token, right? So when you arrive on an island where they are, you can go into an adventure like a hobbit, and then you interact with that adventure. And the thing is that this kind of creates your own story, but it mixes everything so well. And what happens is that you actually use an app for this. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but I think for this game really works because every time you interact with one of these tokens, the player to your left reads you the story, what happens, and you make choices, and then the story continues. It's a big like a main quest, and you have side quests and so on. But meanwhile, you have to interact with the other players. So you are sailing around the islands, and you can come to ports, and you can go to taverns. And when you are in taverns, you draw these tavern cards, and I love it because there's something happening which is usually good for you, like an arm wrestling, and you get gold. And then you find a rumor about an X fix. It's in San Juan, and then you go to San Juan and then flip this card and you actually get these very, very, sometimes very epic items. And then you can go and get a new crew and you draw a lot of cards and there's some really, really cool crew members here and you can get a new ship. You come and you can upgrade your ships, and this shows how many bonus dices you get when you fight. This is your speed, and this is how many crew members you can have, and this also gives you victory points, right? And then you can go, for example, you can go to Port Royal, right, and bury your treasure. So you have money. You can bury 10 gold for one of these, and this is also a win condition, right? And one of the other cool things in the game is there's a lot of dice, right? So you roll dice, and how you do that, you build your dice pool. You check like you always roll four blue dices. I don't know where the fourth one is, but it doesn't matter. And then you add bonus dices. And for example, you have the gunner, and you tap the gunner, you exhaust him, and you get one more dice, and so on and so forth. And then you roll them. The thing is that let's say I roll these dices. You get like values like I have a one, that's one strength, right? And then I have my captain's ability, and you look here and you have the captain ability and it gives you something, right? And then you have your lover, and then you come to your lover thing and then activate your lover's ability. But then you have also your nemesises, and the nemesis ability, like you roll two and you roll what happens if you roll two. So the thing is that you can also go on adventures with your lover, and then it rises your lover's level. And if you find true love, that's also victory point. But also your nemesis rises in notoriety, and then it's stronger. So if you go in nemesis quests, you can lower this down, and sometimes you can even, if you have a good quest, you can find a second lover, right? So yeah, this is basically it. Oh, and I forgot the most important part. There's also factions, neutral factions that roam the sea. So you have the Spanish galleon, and the Spanish galleon moves around the Caribbean. Every time a player occupies a port, like I can attack this port and I need to have the strength of 5, and then I get 8 gold. If a port is occupied by another player, say like this, that port generates 2 gold at the end of that player's turn. But the galleon has this very interesting, and I really like it. It's like a video game that it tells you that how it behaves. If there's a port occupied, the galleon is going to move towards that port, and if they arrive there, they take back the port, and so on and so forth. But there are these big ass other creatures like the Tide of the Dreadnought, I don't know what the name is. And then there are undead soldiers. And for them, if the undead soldiers meet and there's like more than one, I think if there are three of these soldiers in one place, they summon this dude, right? This is called Skeletor Colossus. And if you defeat him, you get 2 victory points. And there's also, in this scenario, we also have these mare people, like, I don't know, followers of Tlaloc or whatever, and they go around the islands and try to gather these artifacts. And they take these artifacts, yes, and if they can get to move to Tortuga, they summon this huge, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Tetzahuilt, I guess, and he has his own powers. And there's several factions, and each faction is extremely unique. And after every round, the first player has to go through all these cards and check how this, and this might sound very, very confusing and difficult, but it's not. I know it's a lot on the table, but everything actually makes sense. And you have these beautiful minis, and there's a lot of expansions. You have these really cool captain's faction guides, which explain all what the captains are doing and what's the logic of each faction. Again, a lot of text, but it makes sense and it's really fun. I strongly recommend it. One of my favorite games. The writing in the app is absolutely stellar. It's funny. Go for it.